There is another Warrior. Have you heard about Warrior Alvin? No. Actually, Warrior Alvin is very popular in tribals in India. Anyone here with anthropology option? Anthropology? Yes. Yes, also anthro. In anthro, you will study about the Warrior Alvin. Actually, he has worked a lot on tribals. Even my work was for 4 years in Bastar tribal region. So there also we used to study about the Warrior Alvin. He has written some books on Bastar tribes also, Madia tribes. And he has called the dance of Madia tribe, that is bison horn dance, as the world's most beautiful dance in his book. So Warrior Alvin, during the independence movement also, he was active among the tribals. So his name, especially you guys should not forget, Warrior Alvin. Third name is Sister Nivedita. She is also a foreigner, but since the works he made here in in India, because of that, people started calling her as Sister Nivedita. Okay, so she is also one of the leader from the outside of India, but she worked here, right? Along with that, there are some British administrators also who supported in some way, like George Uley. He was one of the presiding officer of Indian National Congress. There were the INC conferences. So every time they used to have a chairperson. So in some, there were the foreigners also who were part of it, right? Then there was Stokes also. One complete name I don't remember. See, these facts now, just before exam we mug up and go to exam hall, because these is the things we forget. So what we do is that we make short notes of especially the name of foreigners, because remembering the name of Indian women is easier somewhat. We have Sarojini Naidu, Suchita Kriplani, Usha Mehta, and then you have Annie Besant is also the women, Indian women, and other like Kasturba Gandhi also was active in the social reforms and those things. So remembering those names are somewhat easier, but remembering the foreigner name is somewhat difficult. So when you will prepare just before the exam, your short note should contain such facts which you forget more frequently, especially the foreigner's name. So in my short notes, the foreigner names was there, around 5-6 is enough. 5 is too much, right? So that is enough to write. But still, if we know just 2-3 example also now. So initial points when you will write in the contribution, initial 2-3 points, there also mention it. Later on, you can give the general point without mentioning the name also. Okay, so that approach you should follow if you have very limited example. In the first 2 points only give the example, rest write like the general points like their political contribution, economic, social, whatever contribution they have made. So that approach you should follow in the questions where you have very few example, and this will come when you will write art and culture and history question. This is a challenge. Suppose they ask the question which is very unique, very new, and you have not studied. For example, Ahom dynasty. It is in Assam. That much only we know. And if they asked their art and culture, it would be difficult to write if we don't have any specific example, right? So in such cases, if you know one fact I know about the Ahom dynasty is that Charaidev Maidan. Why I know? Because it came into the current affairs. That was one of the significant place. It's called as the Pyramid of Assam. That much only I know. Now, this point I will keep as the first point if I am writing art and culture, right? So that way we should tackle another. See, this is not unique for you. Even for me, others who are writing the mains, for them also it will be similar only. So we should not feel there like, okay, I don't know anything about it, or I know only one point. This foreigner question when UPSC asked, it was new for everyone. So people were knowing only Annie Besant, and which is commonly known to everyone. So that much awareness and the understanding won't be there. So we should not feel low in such kind of question. That is my point. Okay, but if you are aware about it, like the UPSC can ask this kind of question, then what happens is that you won't get that anxiousness that I don't know this question. But who is not aware, that candidate may get that anxiousness. If anxiousness is coming, then it means you won't be able to perform good in the questions where you know well. It will impact, right? So that way it harms. Same works in the prelims. In my every attempt, I keep telling one thing to me before the prelims. I'm sitting half an hour before you have to sit there. Na? So during that time, one thing I keep on saying is that first page will be tough question. First page will be tough question and you won't be able to solve them. Because what happens, suppose you read first question, you're not getting. Second question, not getting. Third question, not getting the answer. Then you start feeling like, oh my God, now my prelims come. It comes, it happens, right? But remember, UPSC purposefully, they keep the tough question in the initial part. Tough question, initial part. So, you have to keep telling, I keep telling, quality is coming, economy will come, initial, there will be the current affairs question or science tech question, which will be very random. History question where you are not able to get anything, any word. That will happen in the exam hall. So what you have to do is that you have to tell yourself that, okay, UPSC gives the easy question too. I have to wait for my zone. My zone is polity, economy, these things. So let it come. You have to keep telling. Basically, keeping yourself calm is very important. So that same works in the prelims as well as the mains. Initial question when you see and you don't know anything, then you should be calm there, right? That is also the part of this exam, and we should be aware about it. So let us start writing this first two question. Whatever understanding we get, you are not beginner now. You have already written 4 days. This is the 4th day. Imagine people who are just reading now and you are spending your 2 hours every day on writing and understanding. You are way ahead than many. Believe that. Way ahead than people are not writing answers. And I'm telling you, answer writing is the key thing. So just do it. Okay. Today we have questions on first is the contribution. See, this word is mentioned in your syllabus, right? Contributions and contributor from the different parts of the country. That is the word mentioned, right? So the questions you wrote, the initial two question you have written are on those line only. One is from our Pratham test series, that is the women question, and second is the foreigner question is from the UPSC previous year question. So the pattern is what they are asking is they can change the stakeholder. They can change the stakeholder, but they are asking the contributions because this word is directly mentioned. So the contribution is expected question, right? Now in such kind of question, if they are asking about the contributions of the different stakeholder, how to write? First is that when we write the introduction, now it becomes difficult because when the contribution they ask, it's not specific. They ask overall contribution. So mentioning the period will become difficult here. Can't mention. Second, personality. It's already given personality. Right. Third is the place. Also difficult. Why? Because most of the time their roles are not specific to one particular region. Suppose they are asking women, you can't say that the one particular person. Suppose you are talking about Rani Gaidin Liu, who was active in northeastern region, but we can't mention one person's region. So the place is also not possible. So in this kind of question, our PPP model won't work. Right? So how we can introduce in such cases? How you introduced? You guys, how you introduced men?
When the first one of Ajay Sir, she was the first from Pride. So I said she was the first transformative woman who made path for other women.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good way of. Basically, the origin you are talking about, right? That how the women participation originated. So you are talking about that the origin from Devi Chaudhary. Very good. See, whenever the role of any stakeholder is being asked, that creativity is very good, that giving the origin of that movement. But the giving origin is difficult every time. Because, yeah, that example fits for the women, but the same for the other stakeholder will be can become difficult. So in such kind of question, what you can do is that you can talk about the feature of our national movement. As we had discussed earlier, our national movement was more inclusive and broad based. Which involved almost all section of society. When all section of society, then we say that the including women, or if they ask like the tribal, or you can say that the foreigner. The point is here we are talking about the nature of Indian national movement. So you are using a keyword that the inclusive and broad-based movement, right, which included all sections of society, including women and tribal. If they ask about women, women. If they ask about tribal, tribal. If they ask about foreigner, foreigner. If they ask about the scheduled caste, scheduled caste. So this creates a common template. It will fit. Along with that, if you are getting innovative way that it transforms from participation to leadership, very nicely introduced, or that giving the origin. Those are the innovation you can make. But if you are not able to make it, in background, keep it as template, so that you don't stuck. What should I write here in the exam? Okay, so this will create a template for you to write any question introduction with respect to the contribution of any section of society. Similarly, if they ask particular region, let's say they ask a northeastern region. So again, inclusive and broad-based, which included all region of the country, including northeastern region. Clear? So same thing will be applicable if they are asking about the contribution, whether the section-wise contribution or region-wise contribution. Yesterday we discussed the two. One we'll discuss now again. First point, inclusive and broad-based. Inclusive, meaning, yes. Actually, its meaning that day I explained also. Like the inclusive means, when you say inclusive, means that in a particular thing, different people are included, not one. It was not like the only men were the part of the national movement. Women were also the part of it. Right? It was not like only the educated were part of it. Uneducated were also the part of it. Not only the urban people, but also the rural people. So that way, it was inclusive. It shows the nature of Indian national movement. That similar inclusiveness you won't find in the other movement. Like if you see the American Revolution or the other such revolution, where mostly the merchant class, they were the part of it. In some of the movement, more agrarian and the labor class were the part of it. Women participation were low. But the Indian movement is unique in a way that it was broad-based as well as the inclusive. So this is a defining feature of Indian national movement. Right? So when you say the broad-based means like it included the broad segment and the broad features. It was not only political. It was social and economic. However, if you say the American Revolution, it was more political. Right? So it was social and economic also. That's why it's broad-based also. Okay? So this feature can be used to introduce some of our answers. Now, this is about first is about the introduction. Let's cover the conclusion also, then we'll come to the body part. See, in the conclusion again, how you have written conclusions? Okay, I'll come to this conclusion part later. When I'll explain to the question, I'll give you the how to write this template. Just to wait for 1 minute. Let's cover the body part. In the body, see, if they're asking about the contribution, any type of any section or sectoral contribution, always go with the normal template, that is the political contribution. Within political, talk about their organizational contribution. Organization. Most of the political movements were led through the organizations, whether Indian National Congress or the women specific organizations or home rule league organization, different organizations were there. So the political organization becomes the key part of the political aspect. Second is the constitutional reform. Or you can say the legislative. This is the better word, legislative reforms. Their contribution in the legislative reform, because most of the leader, or we can say the some of the leader were the part of the legislatures also. Their contribution should also be recognized from the legislative point of view. Okay. So these two aspects, along with that, the political movements, participation in political movements. Political movements like their participation in non-cooperation movement. So this movement, these were the political movements in which they took part. So three aspects from the political contribution, or if they change the political transformation, they transform through this. Okay. Other dimension can also be created, but three are enough because we can't write more than that. The second is the social transformation. But before that, let's include another. I'm creating another dimension here is that civil rights. The rights. Civil rights, they have advocated for freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech. This was the major demand during that period of time, because there were a lot of restriction in talking anti-colonial statements. So especially the freedom of press. Freedom of press was a major demand they used to make. So this fits in almost all. Whether it is foreigner, they demanded for freedom of speech because they wanted to speak. Whether it is the women, they wanted to speak against the colonial rule. Whether it is the scheduled caste, they wanted to speak against the government. So it fits in the all. Whether it is the foreigner or the women, they gave the contribution in the political organization, constitutional reform, as well as the political movement. So I'm giving the such point which can fit in all. But it doesn't mean that you use this only. If there are some unique features, we can write them also. Okay. Like for example, Rowlatt Act movement against Rowlatt Act. That was also to get the freedom of speech now, because they were curbing press. If anyone is writing against the government, they can be put under the jail without even trial. Right? So such acts were there. Third were the social. In the social, we know the same feature, like the education role is very common. Education role in the women rights, almost all leaders have contributed in the women. Then they have worked for the Dalit rights. Okay. So these three are very common in almost all aspects. 4 is the economic. Mostly their contribution in the indigenous economy and the industry, especially the handicraft. Then self-reliance in economy. These contributions are common in the economic aspect. Okay, so when we are seeing the contribution, let's see from these aspects. If you are able to see, we will be able to write good points. Right? An example in each week, what we need is the example. Then we can write these points very easily. Clear? Yeah. Sometimes they can ask about the youth also. The participation of youth. What was the role of contribution of youth? So we can have to talk about Bhagat Singh, Sardar Patel, yeah, Sardar Patel initial time, and then even the Ambedkar, even the Subhash Chandra Bose, Savarkar. So this, especially the revolutionaries, like their contribution we can write along this. However, remember, whether it is women, foreigner, or any other, their contribution were limited. It's not like that they had certain, let's say, certain this much they had to achieve. It was like that they were able to be part or contribute at the fullest. Every section had certain limitation. Whether it is women, foreigner, youth, they had the limitation. So whenever you are writing about such contribution, you should write about the limitations also. At least 2-3 points. 1, 2, 3 points. Not more than that. Most of the limitation, for example, of women, barrier like the patriarchy was the major issue. Na? They were not allowed to take part. The second issue was that mostly the educated women, higher class, upper class women, upper caste women were the part of it. The issues of the rural women, Dalit women were not raised in that level. Third, leadership was not there. Mostly they were supportive of the main leader. I think Bhikaji Kama, ma'am, she was also the one of the associate of Dadabhai Nauroji. Right? Even the other leaders like they were Pritilada Wadekar and others, they were associate of Surya Sen. Right? So the point here is that the key leadership was held by the men. That is Gandhiji, Subhash Chandra Bose and others. Right? So that was also limitation what I am trying to say. Similarly, foreigners also had the limitation. Like their freedom of speech, the Britishers had a lot of restriction on the foreigners intervening in India. A lot of bans were there. So that was limited. Second, they had their own vested interest. The acceptance of foreigners within India was limited because they were started seeing the foreigners as the people who colonized them. How to trust these people? Always the trust issue. That was an issue, right? So the point here is that even youth had the limitation. Revolutionaries, every person, even elder people cannot take part in revolutionaries. Every section of society may not be that much having that much patriotism or that much ability to take part as a revolutionary. So that was not broad based. However, the Gandhiji's idea of the non-cooperation civil disobedience movement, it can be taken part by any section of society. That's why when you read about the civil disobedience movement and the non-cooperation movement, in yesterday's class also we were discussing that the participation of different sections. And when you read about these things, you will see that there are a lot of participation from different sections of society. Because the nature of protest was such that even every citizen, even a student, even any person can take part in that. But the revolutionary was not possible for everyone to take part. Everyone cannot learn to shoot, throw the bomb, make the bomb, or take part in such activity. It was not possible. So that was the limitation. The kind of weapons limited. There were a lot of traitors within them. Many times our revolutionary leaders got caught because of the traitor within them who used to give the information to the Britishers about their locations and other aspects. So those were the limitations. My point here is what I am trying to say is that whenever the questions are being asked on these aspect, what aspect? The contribution. We need to mention what is the limitations in contribution. Limitations in contribution. Okay, so what kind of limitation? There were legal limitations imposed by British rule administration. British administration. Legal limitation was the first. Very important for everyone, common. Second, there was socio-cultural limitation, especially for women, Dalits, They were not being part of the many events. Then there were resource limitation. Here also the communal. The point here is the religious limitation. The religion participation was not there. I mean the lack of unity at that point of time. Resource limitations like the funding, weapons for the revolutionaries. So 3 are enough. We don't need so many. We should not write so many limitations. 2, 3 are enough. This creates your dimensions for you. Enough. If any specific is there, you can write them. Clear? Understood also now what I explained, why there was limitations. Just before that, based on understanding only, we are creating this template, not like the just giving template, right? So that part we should. Now if you write the conclusion, now it will be easy. See, one way you saw that very significant role, however limitations, right? Now if you start to make a conclusion as per this, contribution was there, but limitation was also there. So despite limitation, they could contribute, right? So the one form of conclusion can be despite socio-cultural and other limitation, their contribution strengthen Indian cause for freedom. So point here is I am recognizing limitations were there, but still their contribution is strengthened, strong, which led to independence, strengthened Indian cause for freedom in 1947. This is the one way. Second, despite limitations, or what can say the beyond limitations. See, it depends on the which type of question is. You can either use this much only. Considering their contribution, it should be celebrated in Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. This aspect you can bring. We discussed about Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, right? Where we are celebrating and taking inspiration from the contribution of the freedom fighters. For their contribution we are celebrating. That can be used in the conclusion, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Okay. if they ask about the contribution. If it is long, like the 15 marker, we can write this. If it is 10 marker, we can write like their contribution should be celebrated under Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So that much is also enough. Okay, it depends. This is the broad one. I mean, what exactly it should be. How many words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 words is enough. Very good conclusion.
If there's limitation, then we need to write also. If there's contribution, then we need to write limitations also.
Yes, the question nature is that several analyze the role of in their freedom. Analyze. So definitely you should write the thing. Discuss. You should write the other part. See the keywords? Discuss it is saying na. So what we know, when you discuss, can you discuss only the one side? No, you have to discuss the both side. Na? Discussion. Suppose we are having the discussion on one topic, contribution of women. Think about like that. Whenever the discuss word, understand the directive of discuss. Discuss means what? Discuss with me. I am discussing with whom? Examiner. Through that paper. Suppose now we are discussing what is the contribution of women in the freedom struggle. What we are going to discuss? Are we going to discuss only their contribution positive side? Or somebody will also talk about, okay, sir, there was very good contribution, very high contribution, but was that enough? Was they able to contribute to the standard or the potential they had? No, sir, there was limitation. If somebody brought it, basically what we are doing, discussing different aspect. So every one of us are talking about the positive, sir, but what about the limitation? Should we discuss or not? Any group of intellectual people will discuss that side or not? They will discuss, right? So now think, whenever discussion is coming, we should write the other side. But not that much significant like the analysis or critically examine. 2, 3. The contribution part, because we have to portray the positive side. Now their contribution is more. So if you're writing, let's say 6 point, 5 point, so you should write 2, 3 point for the limitation. It should not like the 3 point you're writing the positive and 10 point you're writing for negative. But if question is opposite, let's say, give the contribution of Lord Curzon in the development of India, modern India, or Dalhousie in the development of modern India, what you will do? Give the limited positive contribution, give more negative contribution. Because there you have to talk vested interest. Their development in the education was to create the market in India. So the point here is that in prelims also, what we do, whenever the statements are positive, whenever the statements are around the schemes of government, the positive statements are most of the time are correct and negative statements are wrong. But if they are talking about Britishers or the freedom movement, if they are talking about positive about the Britishers, it's wrong. If they are talking negative about Britishers, correct. You observe the PYQ. I'm not talking about other PYQ, UPSC. Because government doesn't want to portray themselves as negative now. Right? So that is the trend. You can observe. I mean, this is not the prelims class, but you'll find the similar pattern in the prelims also. Okay. So that was about the intro, body, conclusion. Okay. Here also the value addition will be of or named organization in which the part of the part. The most important value addition is if you know the examples. Name the newspaper they have written, books name, organization name, year, wherever possible, year should mention. Okay, so these things can be the value addition in such kind of questions.